This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today, radio listeners, if you're paying close attention, you can already hear a different kind of acoustical environment around us. Steve Watterson, Community Relations Director at the Resource Center. From whence does this program come?
Hi, Dennis. We are at the Mary Andrews Center, which is the location of the Resource Center's Work Center in Dunkirk. We're on East Chestnut Street near the Ralston Purina plant, for those who were trying to pinpoint where we may be. And we're here today because we're going to present our 2014 Community Action Award to Senator Cathy Young. As you will remember, we had our annual Disability Awareness Awards a couple of months ago at the Dunkirk Moose Lodge. The senator's schedule did not permit her to join us that evening, but she wanted to make sure that she got here to accept her award in person, and we were able to arrange for that to happen today. And fortunately, the weather cooperated, because if we tried to do this 2 weeks ago, I don't think it would have come together.
So it's a beautiful day. It is the Thursday before broadcast here in Dunkirk, and the senator is not here yet, but I understand she's going to take a look at this facility, and then there's a little reception, a little program area set up right here in the middle of the work center.
Right, we're on the portion of the work center floor that we've cleared out. We've got a podium set up and some chairs. We've got some cake to have to celebrate once we're done with our little awards presentation. And then, if I know the senator, she'll probably want to walk around the work center floor. The last time she was here in August, she came through and made a point of stopping and chatting with, I think, everybody who works here. So it was very nice to have her give that personal touch, and she really wanted to hear some of the thoughts and concerns of the people who work here, because on a related note, she was here at that time because there's a push underway to shut down facilities like the Resource Center's Work Center in order to have people with disabilities get jobs in the community. And while we are all in favor of people with disabilities working in the community, if that's what they want to do, we believe that work centers such as ours need to remain as a viable employment option for folks.
Very nicely put, Steve. And there's one other aspect of this program before we get into the ceremony for Cathy Young here. There's something else that's going to happen at the end, and I just want to have you give a little preview of that.
Right. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about a couple of fundraisers that are coming up next week that are going to benefit our Toys for Tots drive that we coordinate, and also the St. Susan Center. They've been organized for the past couple of years by this great woman down in the Jamestown area named Audrey Ralston. I had a chance to meet Audrey this morning, and I said, Dennis, can you give her a call later? And you're going to do that, so everything will be working out perfectly.
And this does give us an opportunity to remind people, just as the ceremony is about to begin here, that this is Toys for Tots season. If you see one of the barrels, like the one we're looking at right up here at the Work Center right now, Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots, new unwrapped toys, please drop one or two in, because there's always that need to continue to support Toys for Tots right up to the pre-Christmas weekend.
Fantastic.
Steve Watterson was the Master of Ceremonies for this event this past Thursday in Dunkirk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me in the back? Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. My name's Steve Watterson. I'm the Community Relations Director at the Resource Center. I work down in Jamestown, so a lot of you folks don't see me all that often, but I'm very glad to be up here. And we are here today to present our 2014 Community Action Award to Senator Cathy Young. We had our annual Disability Awareness Awards back in October at the Dunkirk Moose Lodge, and the senator's schedule didn't permit her to join us then, but she was determined that she wanted to come out here and make a special trip so that we could present this award to her in person. And we're very glad we're doing it on this Thursday and not 2 weeks ago on Thursday, because I don't think any one of us would have been able to get here. So before we get started with the actual awards presentation, I wanted to introduce and have come up to speak Nancy Ingram, the Assistant Executive Director, who's going to say a few words. Nancy?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming. I am speaking on behalf of Paul Chisana, who could not be here today. He asked me to express his very sincere regrets to Cathy and to all of you that the press of his schedule and his business just did not allow him to be here today. But he did provide us with some remarks, which I'm going to read. We are delighted to present Senator Young with our 2014 Community Action Award. Both she and the other recipient of this year's award, Assemblyman Andy Goodell, have been diligent in watching out for the best interests of individuals with disabilities not just here in Chautauqua County, but across all of New York State. Senator Young has authored legislation that will go a long way toward helping people with disabilities, particularly those transitioning from high school into the real world, to find jobs in the community. People with disabilities and their families face unprecedented changes as New York State dramatically transforms the way services and supports are delivered to those with disabilities. We are grateful that Senator Young has stood up to defend the interests of people with disabilities, and we are glad to have her in our corner as we work alongside individuals with disabilities and their families to make sure that the best interests of people with disabilities continue to be considered as the state implements its policy changes. It's from Paul Chisana, who again wishes he could have been here. Steve, there you are.
Thanks, Nancy. At this time, I would like to ask Dr. Cathy Gradle to come up. Dr. Gradle is the Vice President of the Resource Center's Board of Directors, and she's going to explain a bit more about why Senator Young is so deserving of the Community Action Award. Cathy?
So I just need to do a little preview. Look at my hair. I've been around for a long time, and I wanted to say a couple of things from the heart before we get started with the official award. In the old days, we didn't have some laws like the Americans with Disabilities Act, IDEA, which is for school-age students, and the Technology Related Assistance Act. And there were legislators in the old days, kind of like Senator Young, who worked side by side with us to get these laws in place. Those laws helped to build some of the things, buildings and places that we all use today. But it feels like we're on the beginning of kind of the wild, wild west again. And we need people like Senator Young to be with us because, especially in New York State, some of the things that we are facing are really going to press us to change what we do and how we do it. So we can't do it without people like Senator Young. We're so glad to have her with us, as Paul said, in our corner and definitely by our side. So we have those laws, but sometimes the laws really need some special adjustment or tweaking, and we know that Senator Young is going to be with us as we continue this process. So we at the Resource Center have known Senator Young since before she joined the State Assembly, as she previously worked in Cattaraugus County at the Rehabilitation Center. During her career in the Assembly and then in the Senate, Cathy has consistently taken time to visit our organization, to meet with individuals we support, you all, families, and our staff in order to understand the issues that are so important to all of us, and to hear personal stories about the needs of the people that we all support and how she can help them. Whether it's our annual legislative breakfast or one of the many fundraising and awareness events that we hold every year, Senator Young takes time out of her very demanding schedule to visit with us. This was perhaps most impressive a couple of winters ago when, despite a snowstorm that led to a travel advisory, Cathy managed to make her way to our legislative breakfast. Also, within the past year, Senator Young was able to facilitate the award of a significant New York State Department of Health grant for the Resource Center's STARS initiative. This involves the transformation and integration of person-centered health, behavioral, and employment services in order to improve the health of our entire community. This funding was used to enhance our commitment and ability to provide care coordination services to some of the most vulnerable individuals in our community who receive supports from us. And most importantly, this past year, Senator Young has undertaken a number of measures directly impacting not just our organization, but individuals with intellectual and other developmental disabilities across the state. We're just so lucky to have her here with us. In February, Senator Young introduced a bill aimed at maintaining skill development centers like our work center as an employment option for people with severe disabilities, while at the same time supporting initiatives that could truly create more opportunities for what we call community-based integrated employment. Her bill also directed the State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities to assist service providers such as the Resource Center in enhancing supports for young people as they move from high school into the world of employment. And her legislation provided tax credits to businesses to hire employees with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Both of these latter provisions were included in the final budget package that was approved by the legislature and signed into law by Governor Cuomo. Then in June, the state approved a bill introduced by Senator Young that called to everyone's attention how transportation is a necessary means of support in order to make community and economic integration for individuals with disabilities possible. This bill directs the Department of Transportation and here's some of those letters, OPWDD, to work together to achieve integrated employment transportation systems for people with severe disabilities, especially in rural counties such as Chautauqua County. Over the years, Senator Young has proven herself to be committed to individuals with developmental disabilities and their families, and to the organizations that support them. Most recently, Cathy visited with production workers here. She toured the work floor, some of you will remember, taking time to chat with every person. Then she met with a number of workers and self-advocates who were concerned about the state and federal government's plans to eliminate work centers, such as ours, as an employment option for people with disabilities. Senator Young assured the group that she would urge the governor to maintain work centers as an employment option, but she also encouraged them to advocate for themselves by reaching out to lawmakers to express their opposition to the closing of work centers. We are grateful for Senator Young's ongoing support, so much so that this year we nominated her for New York State Rehabilitation Association's Public Official of the Year award. She was selected to receive the award, and our executive director was honored to be able to present the award at a ceremony in Albany. Now we would like to present our own 2014 Community Action Award to Senator Cathy Young.
Well, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much this means to me to get this honor from the Resource Center and all of you. And you know what? I'm going to proudly display that in my office. And every time I look at it, I'm going to think of you. Okay? Is that a deal? Okay, that's great. You know, we've got great staff and people at the Resource Center, right? We've got great staff who work very hard, but I also know that you also work hard in your jobs every day. And one of the most important things to you is having a job and earning a paycheck, right? And that's what you want to be able to do. As was said, a long time ago, now it's hard to believe, but you know what? It was over 30 years ago. That's a long time, right? Yeah, baby. But over 30 years ago, I started to work at the Rehabilitation Center, which is an agency that is a lot like the Resource Center. And they have a work center just like this called Subcon Industries. And it was one of my most favorite places to go to because there are a lot of workers just like you, earning paychecks, having their jobs, able to come to their work every single day. And it's something that is so meaningful to you, and I fully understand that. And that's why I believe so strongly in doing all that I can to be able to save the work centers, but also have new opportunities for people with disabilities if you do want to work out in the community. And so I'm not going to give up on this because I understand how important this is. Really, is it important to you? Yes, and I know that. So I'm not going to give up. We were able to make some progress this year in being able to offer things like tax incentives to employers and things like that so that they would want to hire people with disabilities. But we have to do more. We have to do more. And so we're going to keep plugging away. We start session again in Albany when we start to make laws in January, and we'll start to work on the state budget. And so you are my top priority, and I want you to understand that, okay? So don't give up hope, but I do want to say to you, I also encourage you to speak up for yourselves and let people know how critically important this is to you. Will you do that for me? Oh, come on, you can do better than that. Will you do that for me? All right, that's what I like to hear. Thank you so much for all that you do. And again, from the bottom of my heart, this means a lot to me. So, we're going to work together, right? We're going to make sure. Now, do you know where Albany is? Albany is about 350 miles maybe away from here, so it's a long way away. But we have to make sure that our voices are heard in Albany, okay? So what that means is that you have to speak up for yourselves, advocate for yourselves, and join me. So we have a deal on that, okay? All right. So as I said, this means a lot to me, and so from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you because, as I said, I'm going to think of you every time I look at my award. So I hope you have wonderful holidays, and thank you so much for this very, very special honor today.
Thanks, everybody. Before we start eating cake, let's just have a big round of applause for the people who put this thing together. Vicki Bardo, right over here. Paula Arndt, right over there. Rebecca Hamlet-Capel, coming out of the office there. Beth Ray, working behind the table over there. Big tall guy Russ Beyer over here. Who else helped set up today? Raise your hand. Anyone else help set up? All right, thank you. You guys did a great job. Thanks. Go get some cake, okay?
Immediately after the ceremony, Senator Cathy Young and some of the reporters and media people on hand had a brief news conference. I'll include those questions that are relevant to issues relevant to the Resource Center. Cathy Young, to pick up on the theme that you started a little earlier, what has led to this climate of uncertainty, all these changes in Albany that have made it so hard for the Resource Center, not only at its work centers, but in all of its different aspects and operations, to keep going with business as usual?
You know, unfortunately, this policy change is emanating on the federal level, and it's come down to the states. And there also is a court decision called the Olmstead decision that says that people have to be in a fully integrated environment. What concerns me is that people with disabilities have all different types of ability levels, and while community placement in a job may be very appropriate for some people, for others it may not be an option that's realistic. So that's why work centers have been so important over the years, because it gave a range of options to people. Some people were able to train here and then go out and get competitive employment in the community. And in other cases, this is where they are most appropriate to work. And from my perspective, this is an integrated environment because we have staff members who are not disabled working alongside people with disabilities. So from my perspective, I don't think that these decisions make a lot of sense, because what is going to happen is that many people with disabilities will not be able to work anymore and will end up sitting at home with nothing to do. And that's the wrong direction to take. So that's why I believe in this so strongly and want to take action in Albany to change the dynamic.
Do issues like this concerning work centers in particular get political in Albany, or is this one of those things, one of those few maybe remaining things that doesn't become political?
I think that most of the legislators are very supportive of people with disabilities and would like to see this situation changed. What is really standing in our way is that the governor's office keeps saying that we have to comply with the federal rules, and so there's not a lot we can do. I disagree. I think that we have to be creative and come up with solutions. There are other states that have taken some other actions, and we should look at what other states have done and try to pattern ourselves after them so that people with disabilities can continue to earn a paycheck and get the self-satisfaction out of having a job.
Do you see these challenges coming forth in this next legislative session?
This is going to be one of my top priorities. We did make progress this year. For example, there's a $5,000 tax credit to employers if they employ a person with disabilities. I think that's a great incentive. But there's a lot more that needs to be done. So we will continue to try to work to come up with some alternative rather than just shut these workshops down, because I just think that's a travesty.
State Senator Cathy Young answering some questions about issues related to the Resource Center, and I apologize for how hard it may have been to hear parts of that. We were on the work floor at the Mary Andrews Work Center in Dunkirk. The following is also a little difficult to hear, and I'm not sure exactly why, but my next interview guest from Dunkirk is Russ Beyer. Russ Beyer, and what is your position here?
Production coordinator.
Russ Beyer, tell me a little bit about what happens here. People in Jamestown may not be too well aware of the work that you do here on East Chestnut Street in Dunkirk.
We provide a lot of the same services and contracting opportunities that they do in the Jamestown workshop. We provide some sewing work for the federal government. We do a lot of packaging and assembly of some commercial goods for the local businesses.
And the work is good here? Has it been challenged? What's your current situation?
It has been challenged with the closing of Carriage House. We do have some overflow from Jamestown. Worley Industries down in Warren is busy right now. We're packaging some lids, and possibly down the road we might do some cups for them as well.
How did the closing of Carriage House affect you here?
Over the years, we've provided a lot of different packaging and assembly opportunities for them. Variety packs of jellies and cocktail sauces and different condiments. And with them closing, it all their customers that they've had nationwide, all that business has gone away. We probably had 50 to 60 people working on it every day when the work was at that abundant level.
And now those people are not here?
No, they're still here. We just have to. That's the challenging part, of finding other employment for them. We have trained some more people to do some sewing and the government work. We do have some of the overflow from Jamestown of packaging for Worley. And then the other time, if we are slow, sometimes they stay home and wait for the work to pick back up.
Thank you for that introduction, and best of luck to you as you try to put together a better work situation for the people who are here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You are listening to Share the Vision on WJTN for the Resource Center. This portion of our program, Share the Vision, comes to you from Chautauqua Music, where I am with Audrey Ralston, who's a very committed volunteer for Toys for Tots. And since this is the Toys for Tots season, it would seem appropriate just to say hello. Audrey, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Well, fine, thank you. And as this is broadcast on Saturday, you just had the first of 3 Toys for Tots related events last night. What happened last night?
We had kids up on stage playing, Amanda Barton students. We also had Charity Noose, Alex Cates, as well as Dave Alquist here all playing. We had a lot of people show up. There was coffee, hot chocolate, lots of Christmas cookies.
And this helps Toys for Tots?
It does. All of the toys collected go straight to Toys for Tots. We also collect non-perishable food items and monetary donations, and we give all of those directly to St. Susan Center.
Well, there are 2 other events that are coming up that are related to this similar sort of event, such as last night. What are the other 2 that people can look forward to in the next week or so from this moment on?
On December 12th, we are at the Cellar on Legion. We have 2 bands playing that night. We're having Trip the Deuce as well as the Porcelain Bus Drivers. We're having our Ugly Sweater Extravaganza. We're doing a 50-50 that night. I'm also drawing tickets for Bills tickets. I have 4 Bills tickets for their last home game against Green Bay that I'm giving away on the 12th. And that game is December 14th.
And then on December 14th, you have yet another event that's happening where you're raising money for local charities.
Yep, December 14th, we are at Shawbucks, the Chautauqua Music's Christmas for Kids at Shawbucks. We have tons of music that day. We have a huge lineup. We have a Big Like Emma Trio, We Speak Canadian, the Jolly Pops, Quister, Smack Dab. We have Gina Vecchio, Will and Sarah. There's so much going on that day. We have a huge Chinese auction. We're giving away Sabres tickets, 42-inch TV, just so much.
Audrey, many questions beg to be asked at this point. One of them is, how did you become such an incredible organizer? bang, 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 3 events, one right after the other, all different, all very well organized, complicated, a lot of different elements to them. How do you put all of this together?
Honestly, I have some help that do it, and I have a lot of really good friends that help me put this together. A lot of my friends are in the bands that are playing. Some of my friends are helping put it on. They've been making cookies. They've been, volunteering. They've been helping me gain donations for the Chinese auction. There's a lot that has gone into it, and I have so many people to thank. This was not something that I did by myself.
Are you a musician yourself?
I play the radio. That's about as far as it goes.
Are you a part of Chautauqua Music, where we speak now?
No, I'm not. My boyfriend owns Chautauqua Music, and this was kind of something that we talked about last year, and 3 of my friends helped me do this last year, and it kind of turned out so well, we decided to do it again this year and ended up tripling the size of it.
What is your boyfriend's name, so we can give him a little publicity, too, because he's obviously had a role in putting all of this together?
Billy Cates from Chautauqua Music.
And you and he have really demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to the community and people in need at this holiday time, last year as well, but this year in particular. Audrey, from whence does this come? What is it inside you that motivates you, that drives you to help people like this?
This is supposed to be the season of giving, and it seems as though everyone kind of lost sight of that. Not necessarily everyone, but a lot of people. They've kind of lost sight about that. It comes into more like, what am I getting? We kind of lost sight of what can we do. I want to show my kids that it's not about what we get. It's about what we can do for people that are less fortunate than us, and it's turned out great.
You have children of your own?
I do. I have 2.
What are their ages?
My daughter Alexandria is 9, and my son Dominic is 7.
Is it Alexandria who just walked in here and wanted to say something to you while we were speaking?
Yeah, she was out there practicing her mandolin.
So she's a musician.
She is. She'll be playing December 14th. She's one of Amanda Barton's students that's going to be playing.
Let's, again, be specific for our listeners about these 2 events. The first one on the 12th at the Celeron Legion, and let's get people in the door. Does it cost anything to go? What would you like them to bring with them in order to help you?
Our entry fee for all the events is either a bag of non-perishable food items, a toy, a new, unwrapped, unopened toy, or a monetary donation at the door. And that gets you in and have fun.
And what are the hours for the event on the 12th at the Celeron Legion?
Celeron Legion, the hours are 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., and that's the Ugly Sweater Extravaganza. The ugliest sweater is going to be winning prizes.
And then the one at Shawbucks 2 days after on the 14th, what are the hours for that?
That runs 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's a long one.
Same admission price?
Yep.
And do you have any goals in terms of how much you'd like to be able to do for Toys for Tots and St. Susan's this year, or will you be happy with whatever comes in?
Honestly, everybody has goals. I'd like to set the goals higher each year. Last year, we raised a lot of money. We raised hundreds of toys. This year, there's triple the events, so I'm hoping for triple the donations.
Well, how much did you do last year in terms of, do you have a feel for how many toys, how much money you raised?
There was over $600 that we brought over to St. Susan's last year, and there were hundreds of toys that we brought over. There were 3 of us, and it took us 3 trips to bring the boxes over. And we had to use hand carts, and last year they did it at the train station, so we just had to go across the street. So we were hand trucking big, huge boxes of toys over there and dropped them all off.
If people want more information about these events that you've planned, or they want to get in and help in some way, what's the best way to find you? Through Chautauqua Music here on?
They can come to Chautauqua Music. They can email me directly at chautauquamusicforkids@gmail.com. There's also our Facebook page, Chautauqua Music's Christmas for Kids, and there's all the information right on there.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else we can say to the community about these events to inspire them?
So many people of the community have given back. I have gift certificates, baskets, donations from so many local businesses, and I am completely humbled at the amount of support that this has gotten. It truly is amazing.
And Audrey, Ralston, all of the proceeds will flow to St. Susan's and to Toys for Tots.
All of the toys go directly to Toys for Tots. All of the food and cash donations raised, those go directly to St. Susan.
Well, Merry Christmas and bless you for all that you are doing for people in need in our community this holiday time.
Well, thank you. Merry Christmas to you as well.
And finally, to you, radio listener, thank you for sharing the vision today.